What is up, my friends? My name is Jeff from Map5 Podcast. I'm here alongside Aqua, owner of Region, and general content creator for many outlets. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to be here. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yep,
yeah,
yep. We're just gonna roll with that.
yeah.
So, for people out there who might not be familiar with what you do and your role in the scene, why don't you give us a little background and tell us about yourself?
Uh, these days, mostly behind the scenes stuff. I do content for a lot of people, for a lot of different groups. Um, Mostly Path to Pro based. So I do content for, obviously Regen, the team that I own. I do some content over there. I do content for Reflash during Contenders Trials and stuff. I do content for some tournaments sometimes through Haven Socials. And I also do content for the Florida Mayhem, which is the best team in the Overwatch League. So, yeah,
No bias.
mostly no bias, no bias. They didn't give me much free skins or perks or anything, but no, they're the best. Trust me, trust me.
I like it. Uh, So it's been an interesting 6 years with Overwatch 1. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of memories. I want to hear what are yours. I want to hear what are your favorite moments or memories from Overwatch 1.
Uh, well, there's a lot of moments that I'm sure we all are aware of. Some good, some bad. Um, I think, unironically, hot take. One of my favorite moments would be when okay. Before I get judged, I think one of my favorite moments from the community, was when Jeff Kaplan left Blizzard. Unironically, it really showed the amount of support that the community has for people that actually care about the game and care about the title. And it showed like, hey, look, like we recognize that there are people at Blizzard that like genuinely care about the community. Like there are people that genuinely care about the game, and the community is very supportive of them. Like even nowadays, right? Like you see people like constantly praise Jeff, like want Jeff back. There's a big post that was going on recently about how Jeff took to heart somebody that sent out a letter in about not having a black female character in Overwatch, which many people speculate is like why Sojourn kind of came into the picture. But like as depressing as a moment as that is, I think it really showed like, hey, look, as a community, like we actually care about our game. Like this isn't like a CS:GO lobby or some crap like that, or
Right.
like League of Legends voice chat, if that thing ever existed. It showed that like as a community, like we do care. So, hot take, one of my favorite moments is when Jeff Kaplan left. So, uh,
I like it.
hot take.
Well, and we know from Michael Chu that Sojourn was designed 8 years ago, but it was like
Yeah.
the first name of Sojourn is named after the fan who
Yep.
wrote the letter in, Vivian, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty amazing. That was a very touching letter as well. I mean, it's
Yeah, no, it's cool to see that like the stuff actually like happened, right? Like, with all the bad that happened at Blizzard, like, there's people that like genuinely are good people and like genuinely care about the fan base and care about like the emotional impact that the game has on people. Not just like, is the game good, but like, does this game promote good ideals in a sense? You know what I mean? So,
well, that kind of feeds into my next question. And that what do you think is the biggest lesson learned from the past 6 years that we can take into Overwatch 2 as a community?
uh, as a community, I think the biggest thing that we've learned and we need to keep in mind is that uh if there's problems with the game, like just be honest about it, but don't be dickheads. Like, okay. And what I say by this is like, every now and then we'll have a tournament come in Path to Pro, especially tier 2 or tier 3, right? Tier 3 is famous for tournaments coming in and having problems, we'll say. There's a lot of problematic events. But with that being said, right, like I think as a lesson we need to learn, especially if we have a bunch of people coming in, right? And we're gonna have money coming back into the game again. We need to understand that these are people that are new or haven't been around for a while. They don't share the same ideals. And to be honest, like if we want to make things work, we have to be willing to work with them. Like we can't just arbitrarily like try and like, you know, hate someone for one mistake they make, or try and cancel somebody because they didn't do a tournament the way that you liked it. Like people are learning, like especially at lower levels of the scene, like tier 3, tier 4, even at tier 2, like people are still learning, right? Like nobody holds perfect events. People are constantly changing. Like perfect example would be the Toronto Goats tournament that just happened, right? Like it had an SR cap for like 3.5 for some reason, and they changed it, right? They realized that's what the community wanted because we were respectful about it, right? But like if we were, dickheads, like you think Toronto would care about a bunch of toxic fans? No, no. So like things that we need to take into the into Overwatch 2 is like when we have people coming into the community that like genuinely want to contribute, like just be mild mannered. Like if there's problems, be honest about it. But like don't
Right.
don't derail the train, So
I think that's wisdom. Be able to provide meaningful feedback without being dickheads.
yeah, no, it's not hard. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. Like just say like, hey, look, I like this. I don't like that. If you want help, message me. I've done that a couple times and it's worked. I've also been a dickhead in the past. That doesn't work. So like, like everybody learns this lesson at some point, but as a community, like we need to learn it now. Like, especially with like Overwatch 2 on the horizon, like we need to behave. Like when these people come in, like we need to be on good behavior. So
I couldn't agree
my
more. Yeah, it's good for us. It's good for us as a path to pro community.
yeah, it's fine to troll. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a shit poster. It's fine to troll, right? But like don't be toxic. Don't like I've seen so many times where like people host a tournament and like somebody gets set and you send them like a death threat. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Grow up. Grow up. So yeah. Sorry, getting heated.
No, I love it. I love the
Uh,
passion. I love the passion. It's one of the reasons I'm so excited to get to this interview with you. Speaking of, okay, talking about those community events, those tournaments. You mentioned the Toronto Goats tournament. Over the past 6 years, what do you think has been your favorite community tournament?
My favorite community tournament. Man, that's a tough one. There's been a lot of good ones. There's been a lot of terrible ones. Um,
What's the first thing that pops in your head? It doesn't have to be,
Oh no, I don't want to talk about the first thing that popped in my head. The first thing that popped in my head is the most recent event that we had.
Oh, okay, the first
Before-
positive,
Yeah.
the first positive thing that popped into your head.
The first positive thing that pops in my head. I guess unbiased. Unbiased. I am a big fan of the Florida Mayhem Classic event. Like genuinely unbiased.
Yeah.
And the reason for that I really like those events is simply for the fact that you see pinnacle of play, tier 1, genuinely like going like, hey, look, tier 2 is tier 2 is like what's okay. Walter, give me the toy. Okay, as I was saying, you see tier 1 come in and they go, hey, look, tier 2 is the lifeblood of our community, and tier 3 is fed by them. Let's hold an event that fosters both, and it's always ran well. They've done multiple of them. The prize pool is pretty decent, and at the same time, like they interact with the community. This was before I was even hired by them, but they interact with the community. They have a good time doing it. They do tons of giveaways. They bring in they do something that no other tournament really does. And I'm a big fan. And like shout out to Fran with the Fox that used to happen. I loved those.
Yeah.
But if you want the game to continue, you need to have these events where it's like, hey, look, we're bringing in the casual Andes, right? Like the normal people, like the people that aren't degenerates like the rest of us, and they come in and they watch it and they go, hey, look, this isn't bad. The casters are good. It's funny. It's supported by a team that I like. Like the Florida Mayhem, or like Toronto does events from time to time, and it blends all of that together. And it also provides a stage for players to like show off their talent. It's the best of both worlds. And if we had more events like that, like this isn't me harping on other OWL teams. By no means, do what you want to do. But if let's say half of the teams in OWL in North America, Europe, and APAC, right? Like if those 3 major regions all held, like let's say each team does a tournament once a year.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it doesn't even have to be a lot of money. It'd be like 10 grand. Like, but that's why I really like those tournaments, because it really sets the ground. I think they're setting the groundwork for what could possibly be the next evolution in Path to Pro, and just general consumption, like you know regular people enjoying the game. So those are my favorite.
Well,
I'm biased.
and while promoting, of course. No, I
I'm
mean
biased.
that's definitely one that popped into my head. And while promoting every stage and showing the
Yeah,
importance of grassroots of Path to Pro, and the appreciation coming from the NAL
yeah.
team to do that. So yeah,
And it's not like Owlcasters doing it. It's like
absolutely.
people that are in the scene, people that are grinding, like Leg Day and Lemon Kiwi,
You bet.
Vicky Kitty, um, what's his nut?
All of which you have now made Owl.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
all four of them, all four of like the primary casters that I can think of off the top of my head, like are now Owl, and they earned it. They went through
yeah,
the system, and tournaments like that really provided a stage where they're like, hey, look, how do they look in an Owl like environment? And
yeah.
so
Trid and Aqua would be the other
yeah,
two that were
true,
pulled up.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so like it's a great resume builder not only for players but for staff. And I love the community events like Fran, like fuck, those are great, right? Like they show like, hey, as a community, we can do good work, and we all have different things. Like that's the cool thing about FOC is like you have people like all 32 teams had different charities primarily, almost, right?
right.
So like there's tons of things that matter to each group. You had some that were doing like trans awareness communities. You had some that were doing like military like veteran aid, right? You had some that were doing no kid goes hungry. And so like those are great and we need to continue having those, but we can't have those without having a fan base. Um, and so those mayhem like events and those Toronto events really generally like help create the community in order to facilitate those. So that's my reasoning.
Love it. Move on. Final question. Okay, what are you looking forward to most moving forward, moving into Overwatch 2? What excites you the
if
most, Aqua?
if you want my honest opinion,
I do.
I have been making jokes about the same damn game for 5 years. Almost, right? Like it's just new content, baby. Like I mean, I've seen some stuff. Can't talk about it, obviously, but like it looks really, really good. I'm genuinely excited for the game. I'm excited for the reworks of the heroes. It looks and from my understanding, I think people will actually enjoy it. Um, you're gonna have people that are gonna be upset that their hero might not be the exact same in the way that it was before. But with so many changes that have been made, I genuinely feel like it's gonna feel like a new game in a sense where it's gonna be like in a sense where not like with a WoW expansion, right? Where you know pretty much everything that happened, blah 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 blah. No, this is like a transcendence from if I had to compare it, um honestly, it's like if you went from Halo 5, right, which people got tired of, to like Halo Infinite. Fresh new coat, feels fantastic. Great base foundation. It's just making sure that they have more content down the line. But I'm genuinely excited for the vast amount of content and the amount of effort that Blizzard's put into it. Like it's very clear that they said, "Hey, look, we need to get the multiplayer out. We need to have this ready to go for
Sure.
the general public." And I'm genuinely impressed. Like jokes aside, like like making new content, like that's gonna feel great. Like not using the same assets and the same Lucio joke for the last 5 years, but like like there's a lot to it. Like from the small things of Bash and having a hat to brand new game mode, single tank, which I know is a controversial subject, especially Path to Pro, but I, every single friend of mine that is not involved in Path to Pro has pretty much quit Overwatch, and they all signed up for the beta. Every single one of them, like all 20 of them, all signed up for the beta. Um, and that alone is the thing I'm excited for the most is the fact that it's bringing back the general population of the band. Like, it's going to be a game again. Like, like people are the fan base is coming back. It's coming home, right? Like, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm excited to see new people. I'm excited to see new people to scene. We've gotten to a point where everybody knows everybody almost, right? If
Right.
if you're in tier 3 or above, everybody knows you. Everybody's been there for a year or two. Everybody knows everybody, right? Um, like I've had multiple people that started when I did, now hitting Owl. Like Nine Socks is, content creator at Mayhem. Secret made it. Natter just made it. Lemon Kiwi, Vicky Kitty, like a bunch of people are now making it to out. You know, it's a new generational gap, but we need those new people to come fill in that gap. And I think Overwatch 2 is really going to be good enough to provide that. And I think it's going to be a game changer. I genuinely just am overall excited for it.
Well, Aqua, thank you
Sorry,
so much for. No, no, I love it. I love your passion, my friend. I love your passion, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us. It's been a blast.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the tournament, right? You know, obviously cheer for Regen or Bear Claw, I guess. But so I mean, they got one of my former players on. Solstice as
Fair.
well. You know, cheer for Solstice, cheer for Bear Claw. You know, there's a lot of good teams in the tournament that I'm really excited to watch. So
Should be a good one.
yeah, all right.
And we are back here with another interview presented by Map 5 Podcast. I am joined by Aramori. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you. My name is Aramori, as previously mentioned. I am a flex support player. I am currently playing for the Mochis, the Mochi Gang. I've been playing Overwatch since open beta, and I am a coach as well as a player. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Well, get into it. So you've been playing it since beta, like I have. So you've spent 6 years playing this game plus. Tell me what's your favorite memory from the past 6 years? What stands out the most?
Um, so definitely for me, one of my favorite, I guess, um, not like one memory, but like my favorite like time period within Overwatch was definitely the beginning of like feeling like that new game and playing with like all of my friends from like high school at the time, which is so crazy to think about, but playing with all my friends from high school and playing quick play for like 10 hours a day, like that is some of my favorite memories come from then. Like yeah, nothing really beats that. Um you know, maybe even beside that, like in like a competitive sense, my favorite memory is like winning open division and going into like contenders trials and stuff like that. So that was really fun. Yeah.
And that was with Hour Zero. Is that correct?
Yeah. It was a while ago now, but yeah. Definitely was a really fun moment. That whole team is like complete jokesters, so they were just like
Right.
laughing and cracking jokes. So it's such a good memory in my head, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, and there's nothing like the that feeling of victory, especially in a big event
No.
like that.
No, it was really cool.
Well, speaking of events, let's talk about community events a little bit. Tell me, do you think is your favorite of the community events that we've had over the past course of Overwatch 1?
So I don't know if this really counts, but the Sigma Rock Challenge, whenever that was going on, that was so freaking funny. And I remember too, like I was streaming and at the time, and I was like, I'm doing it. And I was like, I'm not ending stream until I do it. And so I went and I like personally, I think I did like an hour and a half of just like sitting there trying to get this jump. And then I finally did it. And it was so, I just loved that. That whole event was, I think, like one of the more rare times where the community's all kind of been doing one thing collectively. So that was really, really cool. And then as for like actual official events, the Overwatch Empowerment Cup was amazing to take part in and also, you know, help cultivate as well. So, yeah.
Two very different events with two very different
Yeah.
feels and purposes, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right. So looking back, let's talk about lessons learned here. What do you think? What's the biggest lesson learned over the past 6 years? I mean, from a community standpoint, that we could take into the new game to help improve and keep driving things forward, like you're talking about.
So I definitely think something that the community has been learning or is like on the right track to learning is like trying to treat everyone with kindness. I've definitely seen like with the more recent events like OWC and like I think the last ride tournament as well is just coming out of like people wanting to do right by the community and wanting to do things to be kind and to be good. So I think that's something that I hope we as a community take with us into Overwatch 2. It kind of feels like we're on like a, I don't know, like a turning point of being a better community, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're all in this together, right? I mean, we all have a passion for
Mhm.
the same thing, and just human beings trying to find that joy and build something special.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's something like even the average player can like take with them into ranked is just like to be kind and to be nice to everyone. And I think like yeah, I definitely think the Overwatch community has been doing a lot better about that lately for sure.
that's encouraging. That's very encouraging indeed. Well, final question. So that just drives us forward into Overwatch 2. We got new things on the horizon, a lot of change, set before us. What is something that you're most excited about that the new game could bring? I mean, be it a new influx of players, new metas. What's got you hyped up to go into Overwatch 2?
I'm definitely sorry. I'm definitely super excited to see a bunch of like the old faces, like the old streamers hopefully come back. Like that'll be so much fun and I know how like hype that'll get the community too. So that's one thing I'm really really looking forward to is like I guess like the hype or like the people returning, right? But then I'm also excited for the new generation of like Overwatch players who are going to come from Overwatch 2, like kind of like as like a byproduct. I kind of feel like tier 2, tier 3 we're getting kind of old at this point because the game is getting so old, but hopefully with Overwatch 2 we'll have a lot of like new younger players and that'll be so cool to like kind of see the legacy continue of Overwatch. So that's something I'm super excited about. Um, what else? I'm definitely excited to see new support heroes. I've been waiting
Yes.
for some new support heroes. Um, so yeah, there's a lot to be excited about with Overwatch 2.
Okay, so quick bonus question: what would you want to see from a new support hero? What kind of
Um,
hero do you want to see in the game? What kind of abilities? What would make you go, okay, this is my new main?
I really want something with a lot of mobility as far like not even for like a support hero, but like just for new heroes in general, like something that has like a lot of mobility, something that feels very like Overwatch-y. You know that new like that Fox hero they teased forever ago? I really want to see her be put in the game. That sounds so cool. You know, the lady who trained like Genji and Hanzo. Like
Right.
I want to see her so bad. Um yeah, but for like support heroes, there's one ability that I think Blizzard has kind of like missed, which is kind of like they kind of had it with like Mercy old res that like invuln period where she would like res and it would give people invulnerability. Something like that, but like way more like skill based. So like not like
Sure.
Bap Lamp where you throw it on the ground and everybody is like invulnerable, but something where you have to time it perfectly. Um like I don't know, something where like you and one person you're near get like zero point 0.2 seconds of invulnerability. That would be really cool. You could like juke like a tracer pulse or like a shatter or something like that. That would be really, really interesting to see from a support hero for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. I'd love to see that too. Yeah, just like
Hmm.
a few seconds of iframes.
Yeah,
But it's got to
yeah.
be
So you
timed
have to be,
just right.
yeah. I think that'd be so cool.
I love that idea. Well, that is gonna bring us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to come join us. We're gonna get back into the action. More Last Ride Tournament coming at you shortly.
Okay, we're actually ready to go now. Hey everybody, and welcome to another Map 5 podcast interview for the Last Ride Tournament. And joining me this time is Caolo, owner of Susano. Welcome to the broadcast. Caolo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. Thank you for having me. My name's Caolo. I'm a graphic designer currently for TSM. You might know me from being the owner of Susano, doing graphics for them, or doing graphics for Atlanta Rain more recently as well.
Yeah, I think Overwatch community generally pretty sad to see you step down from that. Hopefully, it's bigger and better things for you from here on in. So, to the meat of the interview, let's looking back at Overwatch 1 as a whole, we'll have a look and see. Maybe you can tell us what your favorite memory or moment was from Overwatch 1.
Probably my favorite moment, and this will be related to a lot of people. It's not a precise moment, but I'd say there was a long stint in roughly about 2019 where there was no open division, and there was just a consistent tier 3 basis, all man strength, nocturnal, lunaris, regen. If you guys remember those names, those were probably the best times in Overwatch, I'd say, for sure. Just 4 months of just constant rivalries, bunch of tournaments. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, certainly a long time since we've seen the old man strength comp in rotation, but yeah, lots of good memories from that. And, you know, we're talking about that period in 2019. Overwatch itself has been going on for about 6 years now. What do you think the biggest lesson that either you've learned or you think can be learned from that period is, and how do we apply that to what feels like a new start with Overwatch 2?
Honestly, I think in every aspect of Overwatch, just in the non-competitive and just in a game balancing stance, it's comes down to improvement and adaptation. I think it's safe to say that Overwatch has done a lot of first. You know, we had the first big franchise league in esports. Designers. I think we were probably one of the first to do 3D, and obviously goats and all just a bunch of adapting and overcoming. And I think together as a whole for the Overwatch community, that's something that is unique to us. You know, you got Call of Duty having the same game every year, so that's probably the biggest, I guess, thing that we've learned throughout our game.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. And again, looking ahead a little bit here to Overwatch 2, what are you most looking forward to with this upcoming game?
I mean, the basic answer is, you know, just new content, right? But
Finally.
specifically, yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, I'm a little intrigued for Overwatch League, or not a little, I mean, a lot. That's probably the coolest thing so far is just seeing, you know, everyone talks about how 5v5 is going to be so bad and everything like that. And some people are optimistic for it, but I'm more excited just to see how it goes in pro level. Like, obviously, it's going to take some time to get it down to science, right? So I'm sure in the beta and actually playing the game, it will feel like that kind of deathmatch feel. But Overwatch League, I'm excited to see pros play on it, honestly.
Yeah, and I guess you're probably still, even though you're not working for them now, still hoping Atlanta Reign are going to come out tops on 5v5. How do you think they're going to fare against the rest of the league?
I mean, if you just look at them, like, they're probably the most gifted mechanical team out there. And if people are saying it really is just going to be a whole mechanics thing, then they should just destroy the league. It shouldn't even be close.
Okay, nice and confident. Well, you heard it here first, folks. It's all mechanics from here on in, and Atlanta Reign are looking good to take the title. Okay, so to round out the interview, everybody is looking forward to new content, obviously. It's been a little while. What's your biggest hope for a new hero outside of what we've already seen for Overwatch 2? Like, if you could pick a mechanic or a character, what would you be looking for?
Oh, geez.
Not to put you on the spot or anything. Quick,
yeah,
design
yeah.
a character now.
No, I don't think I have any specific designs that I can think of. I don't know. Just thinking. I think a healer character that would be full auto, if that makes sense. So it's something like a soldier, but like a mix of soldier and Ana, but you're shooting your teammates, right?
Okay.
Same kind of deal with Ana, but you're full auto, right? Obviously, much less tick. But I think because I don't think there's very many tracking heroes aside from Baptiste, which even some people would argue is a little bit different tracking than
certainly for the heat.
like. So yeah, I think so. The support category, just a very hit scan tracking based hero, I think would be kind of cool and interesting.
Okay, well, all eyes forward to Overwatch 2 for the hit scan tracking support character coming up. Yeah, I'd be intrigued to see that as well. But, Caolo, that's the end of this interview. Thank you so much for turning up, and thank you for all the work you've put into the community over the years. And we're going to turn you back now to the rest of the tournament. Thanks, everybody.
All right, friends, it is time for another interview brought to you by Map 5 Podcast. I am Jeff. I am here alongside Flutey from Illinois State University Redbird Esports. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into coaching Overwatch?
Thank you so much for having me. Well, I coached my first team in 2018 for a small tournament called Owlet. And this team rocked and, what ended up winning and did really great. It was called Furious Unicorns.
Yes.
But I team hopped a little bit and had a short stint as a tier 3 player for a bit there. And with Team Nocturnal and Castaways, and love that crew. And then ended up running some, on a larger scale, like a 15 game program for U.S. Army Esports before going back to my alma mater to help them out with their Overwatch program.
You have one of the most interesting backgrounds, I think, of any of the people we talked to. I think it's so awesome. And actually a flutist, correct?
Yep, I'm a professional flutist.
That's as a fellow musician, I love that. I love that. Anyway, let's get into the meat of this thing. So, there's been a lot has happened over the past 6 years with Overwatch 1. Tell me, what's one of your favorite memories or favorite events over the past 6 years?
I think it's like a tie between just playing goats at all, because I loved it, and I had just a grand old time and studying it too, and seeing Redbird Esports take off, and it's been a project, and it's gone from just club to, basically the students who were there ending up top 20 in the country, to getting the funding to build what Redbird Esports is as today. So those two things, just playing goats and Redbird Esports, are probably my two favorite memories.
All right. A bonus question that was not on the sheet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
How did that happen? How did it go from a club organization to picking up 4 players who ended up in OWL 6-7 months later?
Absolutely. So actually, Reacted reached out to me back in 2020, and we had met in an organization a couple years prior, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to Illinois State." I said, "That's my alma mater." He asked me to come in, and we had team was hitting it off, and so I coached them that whole year. We did well, and they improved a ton. And because of the success of that team and all their hard work, that's what secured that funding. And honestly, Wheats was my first round draft pick. Like, that's not, no ifs, ands, or buts, and I don't think that's any secret. That's how we got access to the American Tornado players, and all the great work he's done with that. So.
It's a heck of a story, and a great thing for collegiate across the board. Okay, so moving on a little bit. So, what's some of the lessons learned over the past 6 years? What do you think is the biggest lesson that, as a community, we can take into Overwatch to improve the scene for everybody?
What I think the devs have done that is really good. Like, I think we finally realized that they're listening to feedback. So I hope everybody keeps contributing that in a constructive manner. We've made strides in against toxicity, and I'd like to see that continue. And lastly, I think we should continue working out our compatibility with the school year. Most of our players are students, whether it's high school, college, any age. And I'd like to see all of our scheduling and our thought process and all that kind of be school centric.
I'd love to get you on the podcast proper and get in depth on that conversation sometime. I know that's a fascinating subject, but we're gonna move on here forward for this one though. What about community events? We've had a lot of spectacular community events, particularly over the past couple of years. Is there one that really stands out to you as a favorite?
Oh, definitely. I think that the Empowerment Cup was just spectacular. Great casters, great support. And such phenomenal participation, and I really hope that events like that continue. And I just think, there's been a lot of support for Brixie Cakes and her recent cast, and I think our inclusiveness and our diversity are just, when we really lean into those, are our strength. So I hope that continues.
It's so important, and just kind of goes down to the core of Overwatch values in general, the things that Jeff Kaplan talked about from day one. So it's definitely awesome to finally see that becoming a reality within the scene. It's taken some time, but it's one of the most important aspects of what we do, no doubt. All right, so let's look forward to Overwatch 2. There's a lot to be excited about. What has you hyped up? What has you ready to move forward and push into this new era of Overwatch?
Probably two things. Okay, obviously I'm just excited about the gameplay, but that aside, and what we're doing, what they're doing with opening up Open Vision, make it open registration. I think we're going to see some with a lot of people coming back, we're going to just see some phenomenal teams, some really great players rise up. And I think we're going to see some fresh talent. And that's what I'm really pumped about. And it does tie into, like, obviously, I got an interest in collegiate. Collegiate Overwatch is spectacular. It's taking off. And I think these two things are related. And I just can't wait to see what everybody does for that in the fall.
Well, hopefully the influx of people at the scene will just rise collegiate to new levels.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and share your insight with us. We're gonna get back into some more action for the Last Ride tournament, and we'll see you around.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another Map 5 interview here for the Last Ride tournament. And joining me this time is Frumple, coach from Dice Gaming. So Frumple, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I'm Frumple, is in-game name. I am coach for Dice Gaming. I've been coaching with them since October of last year, so last 2 contender seasons. I've been coaching for, I don't know, probably like 3 years now. So, and I'm still with Dice, so that's always fun. It's always good to stay with the same team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in Overwatch contenders terms, like being there since October, that's a pretty good tenure here. So congratulations on, the 6-month anniversary?
Yeah, I feel like an old man compared to how long most people last on teams. So,
okay, so let's get straight into the meat of this interview. So, first of all, looking back at Overwatch 1, what's been your favorite memory from this period?
Oh God, favorite memory. I gotta say, I think getting like my first game in contenders, and getting into contenders because I kind of was climbing the ladder a little bit. And I got really close a couple times, and I didn't quite make it, and that for me was like a sticking point. And then we knew Overwatch 2 was coming, and I was like, I want to be able to say I got there. And having that first game on stream, watching it, and kind of seeing all your hard work is always fun. I mean, it's always feels good to see that kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, that sense of accomplishment. And so this 3-year stretch that you've been in Overwatch 1, I'd like to think you've learned some lessons in that time. What do you think we can learn from the past 6 years of Overwatch and 3 years of coaching for you that we can take forward into Overwatch 2 to improve the community and make things better for people?
I'd probably say that you should always look for inspiration in strange places, I guess, or maybe not places you'd always imagine. I felt like I learned the most from places I didn't think I would, or people I didn't think I would. But you can always look to improve, and you should always be trying to get better. But don't just look in the Overwatch space. Look in other esports or regular sports, anything like that, because the wider your horizons, the more you'll be able to kind of improve. And I think that's important. That's my most important thing that I learned in my 3 years was to look at different places.
Yeah, exactly. You learn more from reading a bunch of books than reading one in extreme detail.
Yeah, exactly.
So having had a look at the past now, let's think very quickly about the future. What are you most looking forward to in the switch to Overwatch 2 and 5v5?
I think I'm looking forward to how I guess the game is going to change in terms of space and stuff, because you're going from 2 tanks to 1 tank, so the amount of space a team controls is going to be different. I haven't touched the beta at all. I haven't seen it, so I don't know how these maps are laid out or designed.
You wouldn't tell us even if you had those, so I
definitely wouldn't. But I am blind. I do not see, but I don't know how the maps are laid out or anything like that. So you're going from 2 tanks that can control all this space and off angles to 1 tank, and I'm kind of excited to see how that affects things. If we're going to go into more a deathmatchy style, or if it'll be even more condensed, you're kind of afraid to split off. Who knows?
Yeah, interesting. I guess we've still got a little bit of time before we figure out exactly what that's going to be like. One of the other things that's coming up, of course, hopefully soon. We know we're getting at least 1 new hero when the beta drops. Hopefully some more in the not-too-distant future. What are your hopes for new heroes for Overwatch 2?
I think I'd just like to see something that's any design spaces that either haven't been touched yet or can really be I don't know. I want to say distilled down, because you have some heroes that it's I feel like Ball is one of the examples, right? Where it's just mobility, to its highest degree. I'd like to see maybe some heroes that kind of tweak that, little things all the way up, maybe anti-heals a little more, or debuffs just a little bit more than we already have. Just kind of kicking everything into a little bit of overdrive.
Yeah, let's see some dialing up of some of the knobs that we already have in Overwatch 1. Okay, exactly. Cool. Yeah, well, again, hopefully we find out fairly soon exactly what all this starts to look like. But Frumple, we've come to the end of the interview. Thank you very much for joining us. And for everybody else, we're going to throw it back to some more action from the Last Ride tournament.
Gordon, my pleasure.
What's up, everybody? Chef Billy here. I am with Shade, that is playing with the UGA here at our Last Ride Invitational, formerly of Last Hope, also known as Noxious. Shade, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm great. How about yourself, Billy?
I'm happy. It's been a long time since I have seen you on the screen, and you just got out of a scrim, so I am totally happy that you were able to join us today. So let's get right to the nuts and bolts of this. What is your favorite memory or moment from our first Overwatch?
Well, you actually casted my last game, I believe, Billy. But that was when I made trials for the first time, Contenders Trials. I think it was beginning of 2020. OD from August or September. Yeah, that was the greatest moment of my life, honestly, playing Overwatch. I was with a bunch of my teammates that had never made it before, and just the hype and all this energy we got after that last game, it was amazing, really.
I remember you guys clutched that out very nicely, and
Right.
it was a beautiful moment for us too in the casting booth. We get really excited when you guys do well as well. So, what are you looking forward to moving into Overwatch 2? Like, you looking for a fresh start? Are you looking for new heroes? What is in your mind as our new game comes out?
For me, it's really coming down to, obviously I'm hyped about all the new stuff that's coming out, all the new content, because we haven't had much the past couple years. But it's really a fresh start for me as a player. I want to start doing content. I want to start, getting into things outside of just professional play, even though that's still my main goal and that's still what I want to do. Um, I want to it's basically a fresh start for me. I haven't been in the scene for a while, and for me, it's going to be great. It's gonna be a time, to experience different things, get a fresh start. Really, you said it. It's literally what it is for me.
It's kind of the same thing for us casters, kind of, sort of. But I mean, we'll see what it brings. Now, outside of Open Division, outside of Contenders Trials,
Right.
community events, there's been a ton of them throughout the years. What is your favorite one that you ever participated in?
My favorite one would have to be Frank Cup, the second one actually. I didn't get to play in the first one, unfortunately, but Frank Cup really, I think, brought the community together in a way that no other tournaments did. There was so many people watching. I remember having like 5,000-6,000 people watching consistently. Like, that tournament really, really, really did well for Overwatch. And to me, that was the best tournament of my life. So that kind of adds on to it. But it was really, really fun. I would say that was by far my favorite community event in Overwatch.
I tell you what, I think everybody said, "Yep, fuck," all the time.
Fuck, yeah.
And everybody thought, I mean, my kid is like, "Oh, are you cussing on screen?" I'm like, "No, I wasn't cussing on screen. I'm saying, yep, fuck." So, if you were any hero in Overwatch League or an OWL, the whole pantheon of heroes that we've got. Last question: who would you be?
I definitely think I would be Tracer. I'm someone that's very outgoing and always bring a lot of energy and is super happy all the time. And I feel like Tracer kind of matches that. She's super hectic, super like all over the place kind of character. And yeah, I think it just matches my vibe perfectly. So I would say Tracer, no doubt.
I can definitely see that, because you are a bit all over the place, and that's why we love you. Shade, thank you so much for joining us here today. Anything you want to say to the rest of the community before you go?
Yeah, actually, well, thank you for supporting the tournament, guys. It is a last ride, a last tournament for everyone. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you in Overwatch 2.
All right, everybody, that's me, Chef Billy, saying goodbye from Shade and myself. Have a good day, and we'll see you in game.
Welcome back to another interview here from Map 5 Podcast for the Last Ride Tournament, and I'm joined in avatar format by Whistle, coach for Regen. Whistle, welcome to the interview. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Whistle. I've been coaching for Regen since 2021. I think it was like November or something. Been a tier 3 coach since 2019. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Good, yeah. Well, we're very happy to have you here. So we've been doing like a couple of questions about like the past of Overwatch and a couple of questions about the future of Overwatch. Let's start in the past, and we can move forward logically through time. Obviously, you've been in the scene a little while now, a lot of time to cover. In that time, what's been your favorite moment over the course of Overwatch 1?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I'd say it has to be. I think it was practice Open Division with this 4.2 team called Mochi. Not the current Mochi. It's a different one. It was an EU, and because it was EU, I woke up at like 3 a.m. because I'm an NA, and like for an Open Division match, and we're up against this 4-5 team, and we like go down 0-2 and somehow we reverse sweep, like, and I'm like trying to keep quiet because like by the time the match is done is like 5 a.m. Or like 5 or 6 a.m. and I'm like so tired trying not to scream because we hit a reverse sweep. But just the people, the feeling of accomplishment you get from a big match is always probably going to be a highlight moment in any esport.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm guessing the delirium of being up at 3 a.m. probably added to the
Oh, absolutely. I think I went to bed at midnight, so.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, hopefully things are a little more NA-centric for you now.
Yes.
And thinking back over the nearly 6 years, in fact, almost exactly 6 years of Overwatch 1, and all the things that you've learned both as a player, as a coach, and as a community member, what do you think we can learn from the last 6 years and apply that to Overwatch 2 for like the betterment and improvement of the community?
I think that what you end up having recently is you have a lot of pug teams, which are like, just a lot of people who've made it before. And, they're the ones who kind of get in and win the open divisions. And a lot of time, the way that people kind of make it to tier 2 is by getting onto these teams. But, if you look back several years ago, back whenever teams like Third Impact and Envious were like kind of around the time where they were really dominating in contenders, if you look back, like what made the players that are on a lot of those pug teams now are like the long-term teams. And I think that a lot of people get too fixated on trying to just get onto these like pug teams and like, make teams play tournament, rinse, repeat. And then like disband right after. I think that a lot of people could just learn from getting together and being a real team, because a lot of the people who make up those big pug teams nowadays were once, on teams for months at a time, really bonding, really becoming teammates.
That's awesome. I know that Ocean is another big fan of like, yeah, let's have some longevity in our team. So I'm sure he'll be more than happy to hear that you're a kindred spirit in that.
Yes, worked with him, love him.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a nice guy, and he's put a lot of work into this tournament. So happy to see how that's going to work out. So looking forward to the future now. What are you most looking forward to in Overwatch 2?
I gotta say, it's going to be the huge change in macro. I've spent a lot of my time focusing on macro. It's basically like macro and people skills. And, a lot of coaches right now in tier 3 have kind of gotten their people skills up. So now it's all about who can figure out the meta fast enough, because, what I'm sure a lot of coaches will tell you is that like meta from Overwatch since its release has basically been about the off tank. The off tank has been one of the most intricate roles. It decides if you're going aggressive, if you're going passive, right? Like a lot of what your off tank does can make or break the team. I guarantee you, if you were to pick any role out of a team in 6v6 and decide like, okay, I'm going to replace this with an owl player, you're going to get the best results from an off tank 9 times out of 10. It's an absurdly influential role in the macro of team comps, in the way that teams are run. And, not having that is going to dynamically change the meta. It's not like you're losing a DPS. It's way different. It is impactful.
Yeah, that's somewhere between DPS and tank is the off tank role. So yeah, big changes afoot. And one more change coming our way, hopefully, as a result of the release of the beta shortly. Is new heroes. Obviously, we know we're getting Sojourn fairly early on into the beta. What are your hopes for new heroes in Overwatch 2 as it starts to release fully?
I guess there's like a lot of things that could go into new heroes, man. That's actually a tough question. I would say the biggest thing that I want from new heroes is like a lot of Overwatch right now is just like it's either burst damage or it's consistent. Like very few heroes are good that are good at many things. For example, Soldier's never been bad, but Soldier's also never been good. Like I would like to see an all-rounder hero that can actually get stuff done, right? Like a lot of these heroes that are good at everything just don't make it. You have to be really good at burst, or you have to be really good at just like playing this consistent. You can't have everything and make it as a character in Overwatch. And I want to see the meta shift and like make those characters a lot more viable. Soldier's one that I already mentioned. Who's another good one? Like Orisa's not bad by any means, but it's also like Orisa can brawl, Orisa can spam, Orisa has like these big bursts of value with pull, but it's like, unless she's literally on the verge of being broken, like everyone's like, oh my god, nerf this hero. She's only been like playable, but not really like good.
Okay, that's a really interesting response. Thank you. That's more of like a design philosophy rather than a specific hero. That's really cool to hear about. But that does, Wizzle, bring us to the end of the interview section. Thank you so much for joining us for this one, and for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. We're going to throw back to some more action from the Last Ride tournament in just a sec.
Go Regen.